Good day everyone, I'm Nerjime G. Mata from Group 4, together with my group mates Charlene Felicitas, Abigail Estimado, and Pamela Linaak. We're going to discuss about the other national security concerns. Today's agenda or objective is all about define national security, describe national security of our country, identify the different national security threats in our country, identify national crimes, define transnational crime, give the types of transnational crimes, national security concerns, what is internal and external threats, and lastly, role of the youth in the national security. What is national security? National security is the ability of a country, government to protect its citizens, economy, and institution. National security is a state or a condition where our most cherished value and beliefs, our democratic way of life, our institution of governance, and our unity, welfare, and well-being as a nation and people are permanently protected and continuously enhanced. What is national security of our country? Today, some military levels of national security include economic security, political security, energy security, homeland security, cyber security, human security, and environmental security. To ensure national security, government rely on tactics including political, economic, and military power along with diplomatic. National security is the safekeeping of the nation as a whole. Its highest order of business is the protection of the nation and its people from attack and other internal dangers by maintaining armed force and guarding states secretly. The threats to national security are terrorism, Naxalism, and inter-country war. Terrorism is the biggest threat to our nation because the main victim of terrorism is the common people and the children. Naxalism is an internal threat caused due to a rebellious group within a nation, even the discreet to the nationality of the nation. Internal country war. In the past, World War I and World War II occur that cause a lot of description.
What is national crime? So it says here, crime, the intentional commission of an act usually deemed socially harmful or dangerous and specifically defined, forbidden, and punishable under the criminal law. So criminal nag-intention with the commission of an act usually nagkuan sila deemed socially harmful or dangerous and specifically nag-define siya forbidden, punishable nga under sa criminal law. What is the meaning of the definition of crime? So number 1 here, it says an illegal act for which someone can be punished by the government, especially a gross violation of law. And number 2, a grave offense especially against morality. 3, criminal activity efforts to fight crime. And number 4, something reprehensible, foolish, or disgraceful. It's a crime to waste good food. What is transnational crime? So it says here transnational crime are crimes that have actual or potential effect across national borders and crimes that are entrusted by offend fundamental values of the international community. So the term is commonly used in the law enforcement and academic communities. So what is the most common transnational crime? Some of the typical activities carried out by transnational criminal organizations and trafficking in human arms, drugs, minerals, and wildlife production and trade of a counterfeit goods, fraud and extortion, money laundering, and cybercrime. So, some mga typical daw activities carried out sa labi tong na transnational criminal organization are kuan kada mga trafficking in humans, arms, drugs, kada mga minerals, mga wildlife, reproduction, nga kada bitong ilang ibaylo, counterfeit goods. So fraud siya nga extortion, money laundering is an cybercrime. So, types of transnational crime. Transnational crime can be grouped into three broad categories involving provision of goods or like drugs, trafficking in stolen property, weapons, trafficking, and counterfeiting. So, service, commercial sex, and human trafficking, and infiltration of business and government, fraud, racketeering, money laundering, and corruption affecting multiple countries. So, transnational crime can be kanang mag-group siya into three involving. So, first, kana provision of goods like drug trafficking in stolen property, and weapons trafficking, and counterfeiting. So, ang second pod guys, service commercial, sex, and human trafficking, and infiltration of business and government. So, na po yung nakasulat is fraud, racketeering. I know, kanabitang di kesta ka ng a familiar sa racketeering, pero yeah, money laundering and corruption affecting multiple countries. So that's all.
Good day everyone. My name is Abigail J. Lastimado and today I am going to discuss about the internal threats of national security concerns. So before we proceed, let us know what national security is. So when we say national security, it is a state or condition where our most cherished values and beliefs, our democratic way of life, our institutions of governance, and our unity, welfare, and well-being as a nation and people are permanently protected and continuously enhanced. Insurgencies by various Islamic terrorists and separatist groups and the New People's Army pose a significant internal threat. In response to this situation and the global war on terrorism, the Armed Forces of the Philippines, or also known as the AFP, has been restructured to combat domestic insurgencies, most of which are based on the southern island of Mindanao. So, internal threats. Terrorism. The Philippines faces an indigenous terrorist threat from the following several organizations. So, these are the following organizations. First is the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, or MILF. So this is the largest militant organization in the Philippines and seeks autonomy for Filipino Muslims. The MILF controls territory in the southern Philippines. Governing by Sharia law, it has generally focused on political negotiation, but it has a significant history of terrorism and military. So the second one is the Abu Sayyaf group, or ASG, which is very common and familiar to us. So it is an Islamist terrorist organization that seeks to establish an independent Islamic state in the southern Philippines. ASG is known for kidnapping innocents, including Westerners, for ransom and beheading captives if their demands are not met. The third one is Jima Islamiyah, or JI, which is not familiar to most of us. It is a jihadist group in Southeast Asia that seeks to establish a caliphate in the region through violent means. This organization is also very dangerous for Filipinos. Next is the Communist New People's Army, or NPA. This is very familiar to us since we already have a symposium about what NPA is. Communist Party of the Philippines, New People's Army, CPP or CPP-NPA, seeks to overthrow the Philippine government in favor of a new state led by the working class and to expel U.S. influence from the Philippines. Because the CPP and NPA are so closely intertwined, they are often jointly referred to as the CPP-NPA. The CPP-NPA has historically focused on building support among the rural peasantry, although it has operated throughout the Philippines. So we must be mindful in our actions and stay away from this kind of organization because this will lead us to dangers. Other internal threats includes the organized crime, which is a national security concerns. The challenge of illegal drugs, in particular, has grown into a major threat to the national community. Such organizations engage in offenses such as cargo theft, fraud, robbery, kidnapping for ransom, and the demanding of protection payments. Grave incidents of poverty. So it is also a serious threat to national security, especially to the extent that it breeds rebellion, crime, and dissidence. Poverty incidence affects about one-third of Filipino nationwide. Economic sabotage undermines the mark economy, the financial system, and the nation's resources. Under the category are underground activities such as counterfeiting, money laundering, large-scale smuggling, interoceanic poaching, and commercial dumping. Next, we have the graft and corruption. So, it has become another threat to our national security by virtue of the huge scale by which it saps public resources, undermines the morale of the civil service, and affects the delivery of quality basic services. Severe calamities. It causes serious food shortages, abbot hoarding, and prolittering tool stands at more than 13,000 lives lost and 179 billion worth of property destroyed. The last one is persistent environment degradation. It possesses a long-term security threat. The attrition of forest and watersheds, air, land, water pollution, and the proliferation of toxic substances are a cause of sickness, death, and the diminution of national productivity and well-being. So that is all for the internal threats. I hope you all understand, and the external threats of national security concerns will be discussed by the next reporter. Thank you.
Moving on to external threats. In terms of terrorism and external threats, the Philippines faces no major external threats. It was mentioned in Sheena Chestnut Creighton's testimony that the U.S. continues to strengthen its defense cooperation with countries across the region, including the Philippines, in recognition of its continued and growing importance. Due to the Marawi siege, it increased significant concerns about the terrorist activity in the southern Philippines and in Southeast Asia more broadly. The U.S.-Philippines alliance focused deeply in protecting the country against potential terrorist attacks. We also have other external threats. First on the list would be the multilateral dispute over the Spratly Island, a source of intermittent tensions owing to the build-up structures believed to be military-oriented by some claimant countries in the area. Second, smuggling of firearms and contraband, illegal migration, and movement of foreign terrorists. Followed by the serious economic disparity between rich and poor nations that refers to local or regional shortages of fresh water, arable land, food, fisheries, and energy. Also, ethnic, religious, and cultural conflict caused by mass poverty, limited access to resources, denial of human rights, lack of integration, and international issues. We also have the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, a threat to global security as nuclear materials and technologies are more accessible now than at any other time in history. Production is easier and more attractive to terrorists. Second to the last, transnational organized crime, and lastly, cybercrime. On the other hand, the role of the youth in the national security, its mandate is enshrined in the 1987 Philippine Constitution. The state recognizes the vital role of the youth in nation building and shall promote and protect their physical, moral, spiritual, intellectual, and social well-being. It shall inculcate in the youth patriotism and nationalism, and encourage their involvement in public and civic affairs. Also, from a different perspective, it is vital for the youth to be aware of the issues circulating not just in our own country, but also globally. With knowledge and awareness, everything else follows.